Did you ever walk when your feet were tired? Did you ever walk when the road was gone? Did you ever sing when your heart was aching? Did you ever sing just 'cause there's a song? I will walk, and I will sing, and I will bring a little courage for the morning, bring a little courage for the day. Did you ever laugh when all hope was lost? Did you ever laugh just to ease the pain? Did you ever weep till the tears were gone? Did you ever weep teardrops like rain? I will laugh, and I will weep, I will bring a little courage for the morning, bring a little courage for the day. Did you ever stand when the rest was silent? Did you ever stand a million strong? Did you ever dream in the darkest hour? Did you ever dream right to change the wrong? I will stand, and I will dream, and I will bring a little courage for the morning, bring a little courage for the day. I will walk, and I will sing, and I will laugh, and I will weep, and I will stand, and I will dream, and I will bring a little courage for the morning, bring a little courage for the day.
Hello. Welcome to this virtual service of the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Waynesboro. I am Susan Clark and have been a member of this fellowship for 35 years. Even during this time of separation, our fellowship is doing an excellent job of staying connected through safe outdoor activities, Zoom chats, and emails because we consider this fellowship a family and have a need to keep up with each other. This fellowship honors the person you authentically are in all of your complexity, with all of your gifts and all of your challenges. We see diversity as a source of strength and have committed to honoring the lives, relationships, and equal participation of persons whose sexual orientation or gender identity has often not been accepted by others. Whatever labels you claim for yourself, have inherited as your heritage, or have been assigned by others, you are welcome here. Together, we are part of an interdependent web of existence. Each one of us has an inherent worth. If you are visiting this service and have not been able to meet us face to face, please watch for the slide at the end of this service, which gives you contact information for our membership team and our minister. We look forward to getting to know you as much as possible in the current setting, and look forward to the opportunity to get to know you when we again are able to meet in person. Let us kindle the chalice of our hearts with these words. May we be reminded now of our highest aspirations and inspired to bring our gifts of love and service to the altar of humanity. And on this Valentine's Day, may we find some way to share our love with a close loved one, a friend, a neighbor, or a beloved pet. May we know once again that we are not isolated beings, but connected in mystery and miracle to the universe, to this community, and to each other.
Our words of prayer this morning are by Laura Bogle and Stephen Schick. We gather to remember this is our home, but not just ours. This land we live on, this water we drink, this air we breathe, these old mountains that hold us steady to our ground, these forests that give us their healing green, these flowers that give us their beauty and fragrance, these fields that give us our daily bread, these stars that show us our place, the wilderness and the tame backyards, all of it our home. We remember the ancestors who have lived on this land and who have shaped it. The Monacan Nation, the settlers, the mountaineers, the farmers, the hunters, the immigrants and artists and families and explorers, the business people, the engineers, the builders, the scientists, the teachers, the workers, the leaders. We inherit their choices for good and for ill. We honor the animals and creatures that have made their home in this land, the ones here now and the ones that used to be here. We envision the future generations who will live on this land and let their voices fill our hearts. We gather to remember this is our home, but not just ours. Spirit of life, God of love, who are we to know how you moved over the waters when all was new? We were not there when you parted them and formed dry land. We didn't hear you cry with joy when earth gave birth to life, or when love began to grow in the human heart. Your longing for hope created this vast diversity of beings with whom we now share our days. Spirit of perpetual creation and recreation, help us to see past our pride to what we have done. Help us accept collective responsibility for destroying the gifts of clean water and air, of woodlands and grasslands, of creatures that fly through the air and swim through the seas and walk, creep, and crawl on dry land. Help us to gather the seeds of humility and join in renewing the earth. Charlotte Schneider wrote to me that Eric Milnes has had to have an injection into his eye because of a blood vessel bursting. It seems to be helping, but he'll have to have it done 2 more times. Fortunately, insurance pays, but each time it costs $2,000. He still has to have the wound vacuum in place for the pressure sore, but it is making progress and he's doing okay with the physical therapy people. She is also glad that her son-in-law, Chuck Guest, is home from California, where he was looking after his parents and then taking care of his father's final arrangements after he passed. Let us hold these and all unspoken joys and sorrows of this congregation in our hearts together.
The reading this morning is Graduation by Gary Kowalski. Ever since I graduated from college, I have had a recurring dream. My wife has had it too, as well as a lot of other people I know. In my dream, it is time to take an exam, and I am unprepared. I have not gone to classes all semester. I failed to do the readings. Usually, I am even a little confused about the subject matter. What was being taught? Who was teaching? What was I supposed to learn? No answers are provided, and now it is too late to make up for lost time. With a sense of approaching catastrophe, I realize that although I am about to be tested, I haven't a clue how to pass. What is the message of this peculiar dream? I was never that nervous about taking tests in real life because I was a fairly good student who prepared. Why does it seem to be a fixture in our collective unconscious? Surely it concerns something more than lingering classroom jitters. I think it is a dream about the great examination that each of us must face. The items on the exam are the ultimate questions. Who am I? What do I want? What am I afraid of? To whom or what am I committed? Where is my own highest good calling me? This is not just a dream about academic anxieties or forgetting the dates of the Magna Carta. It is about forgetting our own reason for being. We have one lifetime that we know about, and no make-up exams are allowed. Is it any wonder that we are all tossing and turning in our sleep? By the time morning comes, we have to be ready to give some account of ourselves. Sooner or later, we have to answer for how we choose to spend our lives.
My life flows on in endless song above earth's lamentation. I hear the real, no far off hymn that hails a new creation.
No storm can shake my inmost heart, while to that rock I'm clinging, since love prevails in heaven and earth. How can I keep from singing?
While all the time
first I learned to love it. No storm can shake my inmost calm. I hear the music ringing. It sounds an echo in my soul. How can I keep from singing? 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 Keep singing. Keep singing. Keep singing. Keep singing.
At the end of April, beginning of May, 6 years ago, Walter and I were here in Waynesboro for candidating week. That hectic, special time when we and you were getting the final pieces in place to be able to decide whether I was the minister for this fellowship and you were the right congregation for me. That week, we had a few appointments with a realtor, and before the week was up, had found a house that felt like it would be a good home for us. It passed inspection with flying colors. We closed in June and we moved in August of 2015. We were in a very different situation then than we are now. Although Walter already wasn't able to do many of the things he used to be able to do, he still insisted on managing all the repairs and maintenance, both for our vehicles and our home. But in the 5.5 years since we moved in, Walter has become progressively less able to manage these functions, and bit by bit, they became mine to see to. Over the course of our time here, we have had to replace every one of our kitchen appliances, though the refrigerator is an ongoing, unsettled saga, one of those stories that just won't end. We found after we ordered a refrigerator of equal dimensions to the one that is defunct, the one the one that's sitting there in our kitchen is too large to exit through any of our doorways. So its replacement could not make it in either. I marvel how that refrigerator ever came to be where it is. Anyway, since we have a spare refrigerator in the basement left there by the previous owners, I'm holding off on replacing the monstrosity in our kitchen until I figure out how to remove it without knocking a hole in the wall. It's a challenge. Over the past couple of months, we've had to replace a water line from the meter to the house that was leaking enough to triple our water bill, a broken kitchen faucet, a water heater that wasn't heating, several shut-off valves, pressure regulators, and expansion tanks. We've had to have major work done on our boiler and a collection of smaller plumbing issues still await a plumber's attention. At the same time, our entire kitchen lighting system of track lighting, spot lighting, counter lighting, all of it needs to be replaced to avoid serious electrical danger. So we are using a floor lamp in the kitchen until we can engage an electrician. They're all busy. I tell you all this not to elicit sympathy. By no means. We have a wonderful home which affords us great comfort even in the middle of repairs. And we are amazingly privileged in being able to address these issues as they arise, even though they have come up very close together. Not quite all at once, but very close together instead of being spread out over years' time as we might normally expect. No, my point is because we, as like most people, tend to keep our financial dealings to ourselves and consider them private, you wouldn't begin to know any of this if I hadn't told you. You drive by on the street, and other than the mound of dirt over the trench for the new water line, you would never know we were spending money on repairs. No one can judge your situation or what else you ought to be doing. There are just too many unknowns for any of us to judge how others use their money or need money. Perhaps you've guessed by now, we've reached that point on the fellowship's calendar again, the Sunday when we kick off our annual pledge drive. By now, you may well have received your initial pledge letter from Florence and Donna and others on our pledge drive team. It is a time when each one of us who is a member, and some non-members who are nonetheless full participants in the life of this fellowship, evaluate what we are able to do and what we would like to do to support the next fiscal year's activities of this fellowship. The board has begun evaluating what contributions we need to bring in if we want to keep our activity level where it is and has been for the past few years. It has to be reevaluated every year because costs are never static, and every year costs are more than they were in the previous year. And so we reevaluate. Last year, for the first time, I talked about aspects of my own giving and my own family expenses. And the point of it was simply that, given that natural secrecy most of us tend to have around our financial reality, we often don't quite comprehend important parts of the reality relating to giving in this spiritual community. Last year, I told you that my pledge for that fiscal year that we were then in was $6,000. I told you that I made my pledge after carefully assessing what was possible, what the nature of my relationship was with the financial well-being and mission of the fellowship, and what else was going on in my life and obligations of our household. For this current fiscal year, the one we're in right now, too, I pledged $6,000. And when I got my tax letter for the calendar year, I found that I had given a little more than $9,000 in 2020. I have not yet made my assessment of what is possible for this new pledge drive for the support of the fellowship through this next fiscal year. How much will my household repairs impact my giving in the coming fiscal year? I don't yet know. Perhaps you too do not yet know what is possible, or even what you would like to do. It is time, though, to do the math and do your own planning for the upcoming fiscal year. We are all going through quite an unusual time. Some of us are managing health issues during the pandemic. Some are hurting financially because of larger economic issues, while others of us are managing okay. Some of us have expenses and worries the rest of us might never know. When you drive by your fellow members' homes from the street, you will never know how well they are doing or what difficulties they may be having. We don't know the family obligations that arise for each other very often. Much of the time, we don't know how many maintenance or healthcare expenses of our own or for our families have come up suddenly. Our request for your pledge is not a judgment game. We do ask you to make a pledge and to contribute to the good of our fellowship, but we only ask that you examine your situation and your commitment and make an honest determination of what you will plan to do for the congregation so that we can continue to make the most of available resources in the coming fiscal year. Today is Valentine's Day, a day devoted to love. Its origin is in a story of martyrdom and sacrifice, but we do not ask you to martyr yourself for the congregation. We do ask you to consider the ways in which you can show your love and appreciation for this fellowship and its people. We do ask you, as it were, to write your Valentine to this caring community and its commitment to growing justice. What will you say? What will you pledge? What will you do to express your love in ways that are realistic for you? What is your Valentine to your fellow members? 5 years ago this weekend, you all came together to celebrate my installation as your minister. Among the many contributions to the day, the choir worked diligently to present a song that was familiar and in a style they often sing in, but they also came together with a guest vocalist and a guest drummer to present a musical piece that was somewhat new territory for them. And both choral pieces were resounding successes, so beautifully and meaningfully brought before this congregation. Both the piece that was well within the comfort zone and the one that forced everyone to stretch a little bit. We had an amazing potluck reception focused on pies. Everyone participated and made amazing, beautiful, tasty pies. And it was pies rather than cakes because you knew that I like pies. It didn't matter whether the pastry chef was someone who enthusiastically looked forward to the ways I brought my own approach to the congregation, or someone who had their doubts about some of my ways. Everyone came together. I was being installed, but the celebration was a celebration of the hard work and commitment to the community of the whole congregation. May our pledge drive this year provide a similar opportunity for all of us to show our love to the whole, regardless of the times we disagree, regardless of the difference in our preferred approach to various issues that come before us. Let us come together as one. Amen, and blessed be.
Hello, I'm Donna Nicely, and as treasurer, I also serve on the Pledge Drive Task Force, along with Florence Ferguson, Wayne Nolde, and Abby Edwards. The Pledge Drive starts tomorrow, February 15th, and ends this month on the 28th. Unlike most years, when we can have a fun, interactive kickoff meeting during services, we've had to scale it back a bit. So you'll be receiving a letter of request along with a pledge form to return. The goal has been set at $145,000. Please keep in mind that this amount is not sufficient to maintain our current operating expenses for the upcoming year without dipping into our reserves. But it is a goal we feel we can achieve, if we're all just a little bit extra generous. This past year, we have lost members, and without in-person fellowship, our ability to attract new members has been limited. However, despite changes due to COVID, our expenses have not decreased that much. We continue to function with virtual services, RE programs, outreach programs, our caring network, as well as maintaining our facilities, all with thanks to the support from our members. Next year, we are looking forward to a year of renewal and revitalization. We can keep our light shining brightly. So when you get your pledge form, pledge what you can. Increase it if you're able, and return it right away. Thank you, and please stay safe.
From the light of days remembered burns a beacon bright and clear, guiding hands and hearts and spirits into faith set free from fear. When the fire of the witness sets our minds
Our benediction today is the wish, the prayer that we will all write our Valentines, our love letters to this fellowship and to our fellow members in all that we do. May we become an ever stronger, ever broader community of love and justice for ourselves, for our community, for the Valley, for our Commonwealth, our country, and the world. Amen, and blessed be.